Okay, we are
Cool.
recording.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
I'm
is it
good.
in Greece?
Well, that's the thing with Greece. We had it pretty good here. We had it pretty good because we had a very low number of cases and deaths and all that.
Hmm.
And because they took measures pretty fast, they had the results that they had. Very low number of cases, and yeah, it was
It hasn't
very
it hasn't really been spreading that much there.
no, yeah.
How's the vibe?
The vibe. I mean, it's been okay. I mean, where I am, it's fine. I like the area I live. There is a really nice park across the street. I mean, they closed all the parks, public parks with gates. Um, but it's nice to see the view of the park from the house
Oh, nice.
instead of looking at buildings and concrete. So
Mm.
that helped a lot.
Buildings in concrete, you mean?
Like instead of looking,
Oh, like if you were in a different spot.
yeah, for example, in New York, like that, I would
Yeah.
see the building of or the backyard of another building, or
Yeah.
what I'm saying. And it's kind of residential area, so it's pretty quiet, and you don't get too much traffic anyway.
Hmm.
But now it's been very quiet. Um, it's been okay. It's been okay. Greeks, it's some days they were like a little harder than other days to just keep them in the house because we have a good weather,
Keep
and
who
it's
in the keep people in the house.
keep people in the house,
Yeah.
especially people who live close by the beach and all that. So every day that we have like a very good weather and temperature to be on the beach, people just go out and they just spread
Yeah.
all around. So, but overall, they they did the measures. Like people stayed in and they took it seriously. And every time I've been going out to either buy groceries or drive with a car to go and visit my acupuncturist, for example, I see people. They were keeping distance, wearing masks, all of that stuff. Like, yeah, they just behaved.
Hmm. Yeah, that's good. And so you normally live between Athens and New York, yeah? So,
Yeah,
so you're gonna go back to New York soon. Are you nervous?
a little bit, a little bit. More about the traveling, like the airports and changing
Mhm.
flights because there are no direct flights.
Mhm.
But that's okay, because I'm thinking that there's there won't be so many people who travel at this time. Only people who need to go back, so it
Yeah.
won't be bad. And definitely, they take very strict measures.
Yeah.
So yeah, so as long like that, if as long as I do what I need to do, it should be okay. Then another thing is that I'm gonna need to be in quarantine for 2 weeks once
Mhm.
I go back. It's all fine. I'm used to it now. I'm
Yeah.
going from quarantine to quarantine. So it's not something. It's not gonna be too much of a difference. I'm still gonna be in the house. It just the only thing is that when the quarantine ends here in Greece and people are gonna start going out, I'm
Yeah.
going I'm going to New York and I'm gonna extend the quarantine,
Yeah. Well, how has
which
it
is
been? Yeah.
yeah,
Go.
which is okay because I still have a lot of work to do, and that gives me the time to stay in and focus.
Yeah.
Because let's say if I was in Greece and the weather was amazing and people start going out, and I needed to do more work and stay in and keep editing and doing all that stuff.
Mhm.
I think it will be harder knowing that everyone is outside. But if
Yeah.
I go to New York, it's not going to be any difference. People are inside, so I'm going to be inside as well.
Well, what have you been up to? Like, how has it been as an artist? Have you found it to be a creative time?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it gave me the time I needed to finish a project,
Mm-hmm.
finish a big project without having to rush um, to go back to the US and change in space, change in environment. So I've already have started working on something. And
Something new or this
what's that?
something new or you mean
No, I've been working on a project, like the film, the film.
the film we did? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been editing a lot. So I've already have started editing,
Right.
and in the process, as I kept working on it, things start coming up, and it looked like that I needed more time to finalize a few things. So it just gave me the time to focus on the film and finish what I needed to finish
And did you
without
feel
having.
inspired? Like, was it easy to be in the zone?
Well, I think if I got inspired, you mean from what? From.
Like, was it easy to get in the creative zone? Like, do you feel you've been inspired during this time, or you had to kind of get yourself there? Or how's the
Oh
flow?
yeah, no, no, definitely it was. I mean, I always need to kind of, I always need to s- to meditate and set myself to focus and be in that creative mode.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think it just supported me to be creative. It was that. I think it was a tool for me to be present.
Do you feel more of a sense of freedom since the whole industry's shifting? There won't probably be premieres for a long time, or film festivals are not going to be the same. Like, do you feel more freedom that you don't have to make something formulaic? You can have more artistic freedom because we don't really know how
Mhm.
distribution is going to be anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I haven't been really thinking about that part like later with what's going to happen with distribution. It just, I think it just gave me space to breathe and focus on it without being stressed. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I just relaxed, and I enjoyed the process without thinking about, oh, I need to finish on the 31st because I need to catch the flight to be back in New York, and I have to have done dubbing, recordings. I have, like all the things I had to do before my flight back to the US.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of stressing, and I didn't want to rush it. So that gave me the time to actually do it without
Mm-hmm.
rushing and enjoy it and breathe in and see it and take my time and think about it and take a walk, like walk outside, come back. Also, like not changing environment, which that sometimes it's kind like changing environment. Sometimes it takes some time to adjust to a new environment and find what works and what doesn't work in the space, so
Mm-hmm.
you can be relaxed and focus and work. Yeah. So I think it was just like it saved me time. That's it.
That's nice. That's beautiful. Do you remember
Yeah,
how we met?
I do.
Yeah, ayahuasca. Have you had any plant medicine experiences during quarantine?
No,
No.
no, I didn't. And I mean, I haven't felt called to have to have a ceremony for some time now.
Mhm.
um and I remember I was reading an article um, actually from actually from Rachel,
Mm-hmm.
that she felt that, like this time, like that we should just be not really experimenting with the medicine at this time, just like be respectful of what's happening, and kind of humble with all. So I wouldn't I wouldn't put anything else in my body right now. I think that I would just, that I'm glad that I'm having this experience,
Mm-hmm.
as raw as I can have it, you know
Mm-hmm.
without adding anything, like just the coffee I drink every day. You know what I'm
Are
saying?
you drinking coffee every
I'm
day?
drinking Greek coffee, which I like.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, it feels like a ceremony, just like it feels like the collective is going through some kind of purge, or like
yeah.
the ecosystem
Hmm.
is like we're all in ceremony right now. Life is
Yeah,
a ceremony, you know? So I
yeah,
feel
yeah. And it's an opportunity. It's been it's showing us the mechanical way where we are right now,
mhm.
the ecological way that we've been called, that we need to start like thinking differently and acting differently and finding new ways
Mhm.
to relate. And it's the time that we need to see what's working, what hasn't been working, from that mechanical, the ego, all of that stuff. Because I was thinking about that. Okay, one, what that this is what brought us here, like this mechanical way, which is very much like ego based. And we need to be start thinking and being in a we context, the ecological way, which is about everyone and the planet and everything around us.
The context was written in that note that I
Was
found.
written there, right? Yeah,
I can't believe
yeah.
I found that yesterday. That beautiful note you wrote
Where was that?
when you introduced my movie. In a wallet that I never open ever. And I just went in to put some business cards in it. I'm just storing stuff in it. And I was like, oh, what's this little piece of paper? It was like the only piece of paper in the wallet. And it was
Yeah,
like this beautiful note. And I was like, who wrote this?
yeah,
And then I remembered and I was like, oh my God, it really touched me. I don't remember taking it from you.
yeah. I don't remember. I mean, yeah, I don't remember giving it. Right? Yeah, it must. Maybe it was left at your place,
Maybe
back
it
at
was
your place.
left, or I might have asked for it. I just don't remember, but it was so nice, and it was yesterday, like the day we're planning to reconnect. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think it's pretty much with what's happening here. What's happening in the world right now. Like, I don't know, but I think like that it feels like we've been called
Yeah.
to change in a good way, and start creating new narratives, like really looking what's best for everyone.
Yeah. It's a big undertaking,
Yeah.
but I think if we each do the work as individuals,
Mhm.
we're on to something.
Yeah. Yeah, because it starts from there, and from our interpretations and our meanings and our beliefs.
Yeah.
Someone said to me a few days ago, that that every person is limited, that not everything is not accessible to us.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, okay, what does it mean by that? And we're limited to our own beliefs, right?
Mhm.
because the beliefs we have about ourselves, or our own listening, or how we interpret things, and the meaning we make, that's the reality we create. So we are limited to that.
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't like something about our reality, we just get to change our thinking about it.
Exactly.
Our thought about it.
Yeah, we have the power.
Yeah, and sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's unconscious, but if you get to see something, then you're able to do something about it.
Yeah, have you had a belief that you've been working on changing?
I believe.
Like a belief structure, a particular thing?
I think what I've been working on lately is.
Is that coffee?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it late for coffee?
It's quick coffee. It's not, it's fine. Maybe, maybe for some, if you don't really drink, maybe yes, but for me, it's fine. I'm used to it now. So for me, belief that I might, that I've been called to
Well, I didn't know
work.
if you've been consciously working on something specific. If not, that's okay. It's just
Yeah, I think what I've been working on lately is about how like, I think that people should be a certain way. For example,
mm-hmm.
for me to be a certain way, you know what I'm saying? Like that, the belief that what's happening out there has to do with what's happening in here. Like that I'm responsible about, what meaning I'm going to give for my own well-being, and for my own, I'm responsible about how I'm going to choose to think about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that no one has to be anything or do
So
anything.
you're working on shifting a belief that has to do with other people. Like you want to get away from thinking that people need to be a certain way.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that was a practice for me, because during this time I lived with my family, and that's I think that was the best time for me to practice all that, and just accept everyone the way they are without having any expectations from anyone. To
Mm-hmm.
be a certain way, which was like my most close and immediate environment,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the environment that it could have the most effect on me.
Mm-hmm.
So my challenge was to, how do I get to work on a big project, right? That I'm investing for quite a time now, and it has been taking such a big part of, myself and the work that I've put on, and now I'm called to just finish it and focus on it. And all these years in New York, I'm used to have my own space and get creative, and just be with myself for 2 months and do the work I need to do, go in that place. So how do I get to do that in a space that I'm with other people, and these other people are your family?
Yeah.
It was very challenging. And I think for me, even though there were times that I didn't like it, because I would probably get interrupted from something,
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, it's great. You just get to work, you just get to expand and recreate yourself in such a way that you can have space for all of that, and you can do that.
Did you find a balance with it?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I did. And for me,
Are they respectful?
yeah, because of my ways of being, right? And how I show up in the space and all that.
Are they funny?
It's exciting because, you know, like I had the opportunity to like really like observe, like I really practice being present with my thoughts and observe, you know, what I say, you know, or if I go in and certain things are happening, you know, like there's so much that are happening that I wasn't like, that I was unconscious about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I start observing, like how do I interpret it? That's, you know, what my father said about that thing, or what you know what I'm saying? Like what my mother, how my mother did this, or, you know, like, or certain beliefs or things that I don't agree, or, you know, I'm in a space that I hear stuff that I don't agree. You know what I'm saying?
Are
And
they
it's your
fun? Are they funny though?
and it's your family. Yeah, of course they are, and I made it funny.
Yeah.
So for me that's my that was a that was a biggest takeaway from all of this. Like, how did I work all of that stuff? You know, and
Yeah.
of course, you know, there some of my stuff came up, like some of my own fears, right? Or some things from the past, or some things that I never had the opportunity to talk about, you know, or some stuff that they do, and you get to accept people as they are,
Yeah.
right? At the end.
Did you have any deep conversations with them?
I did, and I had conversations that I never had before.
Was it good?
They were good because I was able to have these conversations and be so present with, you know, what I wanted to discuss,
Uh-huh.
and come from a place of love.
Yeah.
So I practice a lot, like compassion and understanding and compassion, you know, in ways that I was never able to do that before.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the distance, you know, I live in New York for 10 years. There's been a gap of 10 years with my family. You know, we didn't really have the opportunity to sit down and talk
Mm-hmm.
about things, but not from a place of blame, you know, like from a place of, okay, you know, I understand this, you know, I understand that, and that's the truth, and it's okay. We can be all that. So you know, I had the opportunity to see, you know, that there is no right or wrong, you know, like I can be the whole me, and I can give the whole me to someone, and I can own that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be good or bad, you know, or better or different or all of that stuff. And it's the same for them as well, and not just for my family, for the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I was able to see like the way I relate to my family, it's how I relate with the whole world
Mm-hmm.
in a very deep, you know, like certain beliefs and stuff that I have picked up from them, that these are the things that they're shaping my relationships and my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to just like make peace with, and have acceptance and compassion, and just like take, you know, just that there's not right and wrong, and, you know, no one is, you know, like they can just be who they are. No one has to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be perfect. You know, and what is more important is what I'm doing now. Like what I'm doing now with my life. How do I move forward? You know, what do I want to contribute?
Mm-hmm.
How do I want to contribute? You know, that things will change. Am I open? You know, like who do I want to be, like at the end of this pandemic?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what do I want to have done? So I really like focused on finishing my project and do all the things that you know, that they were important for me, and think who I want to be, you know, when this ends.
Do you think you'll be there for the month of May?
In Greece,
Yeah.
it looks like that I'm going to coming back to the US latest by 20th of May.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Oh,
Yeah, it's been an interesting time for sure. It's been a very spiritually charged time,
yeah.
a very like humanizing time.
Yeah.
So I've enjoyed going deep into some conversations where we've gone into like quantum physics and just different, aspects of our human experience, like you said, how limited we are, not just as individuals but as a collective, how much else is going on in the universe, in the many universes, and everything's so interconnected. It's like the virus to me sort of represents a manifestation of the collective anxiety. Like we've had a pandemic of anxiety and fear for a long time. And this is like, to me, a moment where we get to look at that if we take the opportunity,
Yeah.
and call in more of that like feminine energy, which is really about magnetizing your wishes more
Mhm.
than working so hard that your nervous system is going insane. It's like, how do you raise your vibration to where you're really bringing in without having to do so much?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I
And
feel like
you can
that's,
be,
yeah.
yeah. And you can be at that coherent state without having, one side dominate the other.
Yeah, like a neutrality,
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's been coming
Yeah.
up a lot. And I feel like that's important for the collective healing,
Yeah.
how we can really contribute to everybody's well-being by raising our own vibration,
Mhm.
getting out of our head so much,
Yeah.
expanding our hearts and our energetic fields, you know.
Yeah. It's very important. Very important.
And science is saying that too, which is great for the people that need things to be linear. Science is like caught up to that. They're talking about measuring the energetic field, the frequency of love and the frequency of fear. And a lot of these things are now scientifically recognized.
Yes.
So it's an exciting moment for that as well,
Yeah. It's an exciting moment because we see that science supports it. It's not just a philosophy or,
Yeah.
yeah, it's actually scientific proven. Also about where do we put our focus, and how our emotions, like how our thoughts create emotions in the body, and then those emotions dictate the actions that we take.
Mhm.
How do we use our words, right? Like to
Mhm.
notice the words that we're using and what kind of emotion create in the body.
Mhm.
For example, like NLP stuff that you actually using words in a way that they have a more positive vibration,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? So readjusting that, like our wording, which that's like a great practice because we are very unconscious about it,
Mhm.
and it's so like if we start noticing that can create like a huge shift
Exactly.
energetically.
Mhm.
and uh and yeah, and like what kind of techniques we have and what kind of practices we have so we can go back to that heart space, so we don't have our mind and our brain so to be more in alignment with our thinking and our heart
Mhm.
and our feelings, and so we're not on our head all the time,
Exactly.
right?
I have like a tension in my neck.
Yeah.
Can you help me?
With the tension in the neck. Yeah, I think like some, I mean, breathing exercise.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot.
Yeah, like 6 seconds breathe in, 6 seconds breathe out. And then in about 2 or 3 minutes, you'll get to that coherent state. You just start relaxing. So when you do this deep breathing, 6 seconds in, six out, your three brains are aligning. Three
Yeah,
brains, like your mind brain, your heart, because your heart has its own brain also, right?
yeah.
And your
It has
gut.
big. It has a big brain.
Yeah, so you come in alignment, you come in coherence, and then from that place, yeah.
Yeah,
But all this
doing
the
it,
tension.
and I'm doing a Kriya initiation next weekend. So I'll be doing like Kundalini and breath all weekend
Mhm.
long. So
Yeah,
that should be nice.
that sounds good. Yeah, sounds
Yeah,
good.
but this has been like pretty intense. It's
Yeah,
not
breathing.
pain, but it's just like tension, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the stress, all that.
But it's interesting too when you bring up like how our belief structures might be shaped by our families and how we bring that out into the world, you know, because we operate with such a small part of the conscious mind. It's like 95% subconscious, like habitual programming, you know.
Yeah,
So to expand your consciousness to where you're like reprogramming your subconscious
yeah,
and reprogramming your behavior is
yeah,
very empowering and also quite fascinating, you know.
yeah. Yeah,
uh,
it's very important because they've been our role models at the very young age. So we've been picking up stuff. I mean, also their qualities, their assets, their defects, all that stuff. I mean, another research I've done in the past, it says that when we get in relationships with other people, like romantic relationships, that usually we date like our family. Like we keen to find people that they have the qualities that our mom and dad had in a
mhm.
way, like this subconsciously.
Yeah,
So like, yeah, it's very important to like be able to understand what what kind of beliefs we
yeah,
picked
and
up we picked up
it's programming from our family, but also society and the education system. That's all part of our programming, you know. It's
everywhere.
people need to
Every,
know it's not just the family. Like we pick up programming from so many things. Cartoons from when we were a kid, things
yeah,
we heard when we were in the womb, like it's a lot.
it's a lot. It's a lot, and we are born in that. It's like stereotypes, things, like in all systems,
Yeah.
like about our whole life, and we live as if those beliefs are real
Hmm.
because someone said so at some point.
Well,
Because
they're real in the sense that perception is reality, but they're not true. There's a difference
yeah,
between like reality and truth. Like we're experiencing them as a form of reality, but that's not true, you know?
right,
Yeah. So I
yeah,
agree, but I'm just using truth as that word, you know?
if it's a truth, right, yeah,
It's
yeah,
not a truth. It's an aspect of our reality. And I think a lot of people sometimes get defensive when we say like, oh, but that's not real. They think we're putting them down or diminishing what they're experiencing. So I've shifted to no, it's real, like it feels real, but it's not the truth.
hmm
And I find
hmm
that that helps people be more open to hearing that there's a bit of an illusion going on, you know, because there is. It is an illusion,
yeah,
but it feels so real when you're sad or feeling judged or rejected or not worthy or all of these things. it feels real, and we need to like honor that, but also understand our power in that
Mm-hmm.
we can choose another way, you know.
Yeah,
So I agree completely. It's so empowering.
yeah. We have a choice to choose it, and a lot of that stuff they're unconscious.
Hmm.
Like we're in autopilot for
Yeah.
certain beliefs, like about the whole world, like uh, ethnic stuff, like racial stuff. Like there is a lot of
Yeah.
that you can have a conversation about
I'm
what
so
that means. What
yeah.
we have a tendency to do that on a bigger and smaller range.
Yep.
Like, okay, if you're from certain states, it means this. If you have this accent, it means that. If you're from that country, it means that. If you have this skin type, skin color, this, that. Like we have like we are born in a world full with stereotypes and opinions and things that we didn't choose, right? That they were already chosen for us. Certain beliefs about your country, certain beliefs about this type of woman or this type of man, or about gay or about bi, or about, what I'm saying? Like, so we born with all these ideas that we didn't choose them, but someone at some point said so, right? Because who said that? Someone at some point, right? Someone created, had this idea, this opinion,
Hmm.
and then we live our life as if this is real.
Hmm.
So it's about being able to
Take your power back.
take the power back by making a different choice. And we have individual choice and individual
Let's
reality
take
and
our power
beliefs.
back right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we've both been working on that a lot anyway, but let's like just declare it right now and take it all back instantly.
Yeah, I mean, one of the deepest beliefs and something I've been fighting for years is that I'm not good enough,
What is
right?
in your hand?
This one, it's a pen.
Oh, like,
So I'm declaring that I'm good enough. But there's no like good enough or not. Like I'm declaring that I choose to. I don't think there is even like that conversation.
about being good enough.
Yeah, I mean I think that's like one of the biggest illusions
Yeah.
that even people think about that. I think that like there's not a coincidence why you are born, where you're born in this body, you have this name, you have this expression, you do the things you do, right? Like there is some uniqueness about you that no one else can do that.
100%. Yeah. But some
And
people are so programmed in this sort of way of losing their own sense of identity
mm-hmm.
that they don't get to be authentic.
Yeah.
Maybe in another lifetime, the
Mm.
journey might be not to be what is authentic too. Maybe that's the great illusion also. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that authenticity takes courage.
People say find your voice, like find your own voice, you know? I encourage that as an artist. That's one of my biggest missions is to empower and encourage and inspire people to have a vision that's truly theirs and own it. Like
Mm-hmm.
own it, you know? Don't dumb it down for the masses. Don't try to please people, because art needs to be, to me, needs to have a sense of freedom, to it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not art if it doesn't have freedom. I'm not making that judgment. But I feel it when someone's not honoring their vision. I can see it in a film. I can see it in a piece, and I get sad, like, because they're close and I can feel it, And if I get to have a fund where I support artists and directors,
Mm-hmm.
I want to back them to have creative control. I don't believe in the studio or the investor or anyone interfering in the vision.
Right.
Helping create a nice space for the artists to do their thing, and being like a doula where you
Mm-hmm.
kind of get to help with the birth, but you're not telling them what to do as an artist. And
Yeah.
I get that because I am an artist too, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody can really tell me what to do. So I really believe in that. And that's what
Right.
United Artists was. That's what Pickford
Mm-hmm.
started too, is like that was what it was about, which is amazing, full circle. But how did I end up there? What were you saying? Authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
So authenticity to me is like where you are honestly in any particular moment,
Yeah.
which could be that you don't know, which could be confusion, which could be no identity. But if you're truly feeling identityless, don't pretend, like, be there. There's beauty in that.
Right.
That's something I feel. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if it's bullshit. I really feel it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. 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 It's to be able to bring forth your own truth and honor that, whatever that is,
yeah.
beyond right doing or wrong doing, or changing anything, or just having, just um, to be everything
Yeah.
that you are, that you are.
And sometimes we judge people in pop
Mm.
culture and in the world because maybe we sense that their identity is not really authentic because we're intuitive, right? But for them, maybe it feels authentic. And so I'm kind of like, who am I to have an opinion about that?
Mm.
But then the next voice says, but who are you to not have an opinion about that? Like I don't have to be judgmental of the artist or of the person, but I don't have to agree with the art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But still accept it as part of their journey.
Yeah, and your journey also, like your
Yeah.
own processing.
Yeah. Because I guess everything you come into contact with is for a reason too.
Yeah, and I mean, we are mirroring. I hold the mirror for you, you hold the mirror for me.
Like who's somebody in pop culture? Because actually that's actually been part of the conversation too, is this idea of humanizing the icon, which I wasn't even
Mm-hmm.
going to get into here, but I'm just curious, like who's somebody for you in pop culture
Mm-hmm.
that's maybe created this iconic image with the public's adoration, somebody maybe larger than life that you feel just isn't authentic, like your own sense of things where you're like, I don't buy it. Is there somebody, an actor, a performer, an artist?
that I feel that there, I mean, not really, because you know, usually my concern or focus all these years has it been, if I am authentic, you know, with myself, you know, like if I'm holding back myself from the world, like where do I stop? Like, do I give the whole me to myself? Like how authentic I am me to my, or you know.
So you never find yourself like accidentally being judgmental of
Oh
some
yeah.
expression you might see in the world?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like
Of course.
name one. Like we're not shit talking, we're just being real. Like, you know, I have someone I can throw out there.
What?
And I've actually had to look at her expression and, like you said, even question where I'm at, because I found myself being so judgmental of of her art. I'm not anymore, but I was with Lady Gaga. I didn't really believe, like I couldn't really connect her like true essence with her art. Like it felt manufactured to me. But I've studied her now more. I actually watched her documentary. I didn't want to leave it at that. I didn't actually, like, it was an interesting, because when I speak about certain things, like in with other artists or publicly, people will often say like, "Oh, you and Lady Gaga like need to meet." And I'm always like, it's come up so many times, and I'm like, why? Like, I don't even get that. And so I really started looking at like, why does that keep coming up, and why am I being judgmental? Is there something? Is there something triggering? You know? And then you realize like everyone's on a journey. A lot of times these artists will evolve and be like, whoa, that was bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, so like they're also on a journey. Like they're also figuring it out, you know? So it's like, and the public, I studied this through Mary Pickford, so I find it fascinating. The public helps to craft that iconic image. Like the artist can't do it on her own. You actually, it's an alchemy that happens with the masses. She put out something they were hungry for, the zeitgeist, and then it gets all mixed in a pot, and then it's like this whole character was born. And it's like, it's not her. It's its own, it's like Jesus Christ, it's its own entity, you know? Like Jesus wasn't like he, to me, was like a hippie. He wasn't like, people pray to me, people start, you know, like, but he's like, someone said he was like the most genius branding ever. Like, how long has that guy been iconic? Like we're still saying his name, you know, as if we know him. It's brilliant, you know? So it's not the person, but it's
right.
Like, yeah, I'm just fascinated by these things, because it all goes into what you're talking about.
It's what's possible.
It's not about being famous. It's like you're playing a role as Apollo, and you get to choose. Am I going to stick to this structure, or am I going to shift over here? You know, it's the same thing with an artist or a performer. You know, what do I want to give people? What do I want to give myself? You know.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's how you choose to interpret it, right? It's your choice. Like the meaning that we were talking about earlier, like the meaning you're gonna give, because you're free to choose and interpret it in infinite ways about what that means for you. So that's why it comes back to oh, Lady Gaga, she holds, you know, like she's giving you the opportunity, right, to make your own meaning out of it, and the freedom, how you're going to see that.
That's really cool.
Right. And this is where we have the choice,
It's
how
a
we're going
mirror.
to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it holds a mirror, right? So then it's about like what we're capable of and what's the possibility, like as human beings, like what the power we have. So then um Hitler, right, becomes an example of what you're able to do with your word and your speaking, like how much power you can have an impact on other people by having certain beliefs and by using certain techniques and by showing up in a way that you have all these followers.
You know what
So,
I just
so there is no bad or wrong. It's about like, okay, how am I gonna use my 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 power, like
my
the gifts
energy.
I have,
Yeah.
right?
Um I literally just saw like a flash of this talk becoming like a documentary in itself, like with like being turned into a movie. Like I just literally, when you said Hitler, I just saw Hitler, and then I saw Lady Gaga, and then I saw like quantum like visuals like in the earlier part of our conversation. I like literally that hasn't happened to me with any of the
Yeah,
talks. I literally
it's
just
pretty
saw
amazing.
what.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And then you can see, okay, like what are these people doing
Oh my god,
that
I just got
that
chills.
works, you know, and see like, you know, like that you can use this power or you can use these techniques, um, and from your authentic self to be the highest contribution that you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not like authentic, like your authentic self, like your authentic self, it's going to make the biggest impact
Mm-hmm.
to the world, because from your authentic self you're going to give um, what really matters for others as well, right? Like your truth, because that's what we connect. We're done with bullshit. We know when we see someone is bullshit, as you were saying, oh, I can see someone who's being inauthentic, you know, I'm not interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, you know, like people, we need like truth. We need to connect, you know, with uh, something real,
Mm-hmm.
meaningful.
Yeah.
So you can give that. So you give that when you are your authentic self. So that's how you can make the biggest contribution. And then when we look at back to these people that they've done the biggest harm or they've been the most inauthentic, whatever, they did something that worked and it had a big impact and effect, right?
So what do you
How
think
can we
about Hitler?
Hitler, for me, it's, you know, that's the thing, that's what I was saying, that for me, Hitler is just an example of what human power can do. Like when someone uh, has certain beliefs and he has a purpose, a vision, right? And he has a way to impact so many people.
Yeah.
He used it for what he used it, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like he used it to kill people and to for the ego and to dominate and all. But what if you use this power to actually help people,
Right. Yeah, of course.
right? How
Yeah.
powerful that can be. So for me, that's the example I'm taking from him. That it's that power we have. Like he gives me an example of what I'm capable to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to me to choose if I'm going to be, you know, useful for most of the people, despite my own beliefs and my own opinions and what I agree or disagree, which I have the freedom to have, right? But then we look at, you know, what it's best for most, you know, for most of the people.
Mm-hmm.
like what it's actually contributing to the most of the world, which, you know what I'm saying, which we need to step on the side sometimes.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the way we want to, but it's for the greater good. So I think as humanity we stand for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So powerful.
Yeah, so I think for me, like sometimes, you know, like I say, okay, like as I said before, I think it takes courage, which means, you know, like fear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, courage is like having the fear,
Mm-hmm.
but doing it anyway. You know, like so it's not about waiting the fear to, you know, pushing the fear away or waiting the fear to pass. It's about having the courage to step into
Mm-hmm.
your true self, because it takes courage, because you're risking.
Yeah, you have to go
Right.
outside your comfort zone.
Right. And some people might not like it,
Mm-hmm.
or you know what I'm saying, so it takes courage to be your true self,
Absolutely.
and compassion
Yeah.
for yourself, and come from that place of compassion,
Mm-hmm.
so you can be creative, and then, you know, you can give your wisdom from that place.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
You can realize your own wisdom and then share it, which I think that's the important thing right now. How can we share our wisdom with others,
Mm-hmm.
so we all can get there?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, because we live in a world that there, you know, some people are more privileged than others. You know, there's a lot going on, so maybe it's time to start looking behind and say, you know, like, who can I help? You know, if
Yeah.
I'm like, if I'm a step ahead in any way from someone, which means, oh, I might get overcome my fear of being by myself in the house during the quarantine,
Yeah.
right? How can I offer that to someone else?
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe I overcome, you know, the stress I had about what's going to happen. You know, how can I share that with the world? Because I think that the world now needs that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we had like a responsibility about how we're going to show up now after all that,
Mm-hmm.
creating something new, because it needs to be something new from what it was, if we want to have a different feature, better feature.
And do you think we'll be quarantined again later this year?
It could be everything, it could be anything, but whatever it's going to be again, you know, an opportunity for us to, you know, recreate, reinvent, you know, look in, show up, see who we can help,
Mm-hmm.
how are we going to show up, where we're going to focus.
Yeah. So beautiful.
It is a beautiful time, you know. And then, you know, I think it is, you know, and it's like such a big, like, I think it's consciousness or something. It's bringing a balance now. It's right, because
Mm-hmm.
there is a lot of death and there is a lot of healing at the same time. It's
Mm-hmm.
happening. So I think we just rise beyond. You know, it's something is happening that it's. I think it's like rising vibration of love,
Mm-hmm.
but the kind of love that holds everything.
Mm-hmm.
Love and the dark side and the light side, all of it, beyond the dualism, and like,
Mm-hmm. I agree.
yeah.
Cool. What time is it there?
So it's 10:15 nearly p.m.
Oh, nice.
It's daytime there, right?
Yeah, it's like 10, maybe it's only 12. Yeah, I think it's only 12.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's beautiful out. It's hot. It's a little hot here. I can
Do you
stop
go out? Do you
recording.
walk
I can stop.
around?
I can stop recording now. Thank you. I love you.